Welcome to More Than Miles, the podcast where we use storytelling and expert interviews to widen the lens on what it means to be a happy and healthy endurance athlete. We believe that athletes are so much more than their body, sport, and training miles. I'm Dr. Mihevc Edwards.
And I'm Dr. Kacy Seynders. We are endurance athletes, physical therapists, and huge coffee addicts. We spend most of our time treating, educating, and working with endurance athletes. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Now let's get to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to More Than Miles. Kate and Kacy here, and we have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Allie Wilson of the Atlanta Track Club, one of my favorite 800-meter runners. I can confidently say that. And we're really excited to chat with you, Allie. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for that introduction. I'm happy to be here. You guys are easily two of my top favorite PTs, so I'm excited.
I feel the love already. This is great.
I know we've been excited to talk to you for quite some time. And we thought, because we know you, it's one of those things that happens. We're like, we really need to talk to Allie. We really need to talk to Allie. We're finally here.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I'm very happy to be here.
Good. Well, one of the things we love to do on the podcast is we like to start with your running story. So we really want you to tell us a little bit about how you got into running and how you became passionate about it, and start wherever that is for you.
Yeah, of course. So sports have always been a really big part of my life. I have two older sisters and a little brother, but my two older sisters are definitely the reason why I personally got into running. I pretty much just always did whatever they did. And long story short, my oldest sister, we all played soccer. And so my oldest sister, she's 3 years older than me, was like at one of her soccer games, and basically a mom on one of her teammates went up to my parents and were like, Kim, Jake, you really have to sign Val up for track. Like, she's so fast. And just like from watching her in the soccer field, she was like, she'd do so well. And so she joined like our parish's track team, and then ended up winning like the city championships that year in the 800. And like, it was so cool. And actually her championships were held at Villanova, which is like really close to where I live. So I remember just like going to her race, all of her races, but that race in particular, it was like super rainy and like, kind of dreadful outside, and she won, and it was like the biggest deal ever. But I don't even think any of us realized what happened that day. And she was in fourth grade at the time, so I was like in first grade. I was really little, but then I remember just watching the race and being like, I want to do that too. Like, that looks so cool. So then like I wasn't old enough to start running yet. And so once I got to fourth grade, it was like everyone already knew what I was going to be doing. I was going to be joining the track team. I was going to be an 800-meter runner. And I've been running it ever since, pretty much. So that's how my story started. Do you want me to go into like the rest of my story? Okay.
Yeah. Keep it rolling.
Okay. So that's how it started. And then actually, when I was younger, it was super fun because my sisters were on the team at the same time as me. And so we'd run like the 4x8 together. And so I like looked up to my sisters so much, and I'd get to like pass the baton off to them. And, at the time they probably ran like minutes faster than me. So I'd just be like, like, your turn, take this thing from me and you go do all the work. Like, I'm tired.
Here you go.
But I know like that was one of like my parents' favorite moments probably of all time, was like us all being in the same relay together. And so then I ran for my church all the way through like middle school. And then obviously joined the track team once I got to high school. So then that's when I started doing like indoor and outdoor track. So I still played soccer in the fall. I didn't try cross country until my senior year of high school, because by then I knew I'd be going to college for running, which was kind of like a big debate for me. I didn't know which one I wanted to do in college, and ended up choosing running. So I hope I made the right choice, but I think you soccer. Did. Soccer was like the first sport that I started playing when I was like 4 years old. I played my entire life. I met all my best friends through soccer. So it was like a big part of who I was. But then, I obviously had to let go of it once I went to college. And so that's when pretty much I started doing like the 3-season cross country, indoor, outdoor, all through college. And I went to Monmouth University in New Jersey. That's my story.
Well, what do you love about running? What makes you want to get up and do it every day?
Ooh, it's a loaded question, Kate.
I know.
There's so much I love about running. There's so much I also don't love about running, but
I knew that was coming.
Maybe we should talk about both of those things if we're honest.
I've worked with Allie long enough to know she was going to add a caveat in there somewhere.
I'm like, I don't want everyone thinking it's all sunshine and rainbows. Running's really hard.
It's really hard.
And it puts you through the ringer sometimes. But I would say what I love the most about running is, I feel like this is such a cliche answer, and I feel like it's literally what everybody says, but it's so true. And so I feel like it just has to be my answer, that it's just day in and day out, pushing my body to its limits and seeing how much farther I can go. And I feel like there's been so many times in my career where I've been sure that I had reached that point where it's like, okay, there's no way I can go farther than this. And then time and time again, I have surpassed that, by a landslide. And it's like, it's just really incredible what like your body and mind can do when you like really believe in yourself and work hard and believe in the people who are, helping you achieve your goals. So I feel like it's just, probably that. I love seeing how much more I can get out of myself.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember the first time I ran a marathon, I would call my dad every single weekend when I would go longer. So every long run, I'd be like, wow, this is the longest I've ever run. Wow, this is the longest I've ever run. And that whole idea and that feeling of, I didn't think I could do this, but I can. I know it might be cliche, but I completely can relate to that and understand that idea.
It's kind of like the best and worst part about running is that there actually are no limits. There's no amount of running. Like there's no distance that you can't run. Like you could technically run forever. Like, I don't know. Or it's just insane to me. I'm like, it's like one of those very few things in life where it's like, there really aren't limits. Like, it's kind of crazy and a little bit scary because it's like, well, then what the heck? Like,
so are you saying that you're going to be like Forrest Gump someday?
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I heard as well.
I know.
I mean, but it is true. I mean, our goals can kind of change as life changes, right? And there's just always something to achieve, whether it be physically or mentally, or like, there's just so many different like avenues in which you can push yourself in running and find yourself in running. Right. And I think that's one of my favorite things about the sport is it's kind of timeless as long as you respect your body and everything like that. And I think that's pretty special.
Yeah.
I agree too. All right, Allie, now you have to tell us though, what are the things you don't like about running?
Yeah, let's get the grievances out of there.
Let's get the grievances and the dirt out of the way.
Ooh. I mean, also just kind of the obvious answers, like running is so hard and makes me so tired. I'm like, so there are some workouts where I don't have a big smile on my face. I'm like, cursing at coach in my head, so mad at him. But then like the best part about it is like afterwards, it's always like, I'm always like full of like happiness and joy after I accomplished it. It's just hard in the meantime, Yeah. So I feel like it tests you. And like, especially when it comes to, performances and races, like I've been probably let down and disappointed in, races more often than I've been proud of them but I don't know. It's still so worth it to go out there and, see what you can do every single time. So it just comes with a cost sometimes that it's not always like exactly what you want to be, or you don't always run the time you want to run or win the race you wanted to win, but you just keep getting back out there and, kind of putting yourself on the line.
That was actually something I wanted to ask you about because I noticed, I follow you on social media, of course, and I noticed that a lot of your posts talk about how you're frustrated or disappointed. And one of the things I really love about you is how open you are and how you talk about your feelings. And I think that's a really important thing in this sport, especially when it comes to mental health and being resilient and having other people look up to you, other runners and athletes look up to you. So I would love for you to talk about how you're able to do that And, how do you manage disappointment and frustration?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I do try to be super honest about, my feelings about my races and stuff. I'm the first to admit I'm not just gonna, after I have a really bad race, I'm not just gonna hop on Instagram and be like, well, I had a really bad race. Like, those are usually the races I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna. And it's not because I don't want to admit that I had a bad race. It's just like, I'm probably pretty upset. And I just would rather, look forward onto the next one. And I feel like that's really how I cope with disappointment and stuff like that, is just always like, there will be another opportunity, and I will overcome whatever it was that I wasn't able to this time. So it's just like, I just turn it into a challenge for the next race or for the next workout or whatever that next goal is. And as long as you can like take a failure and turn it into a lesson, then it's really, not much of a failure after all, because now you'll be that much better in the future and you won't make that same mistake twice. And obviously, there's mistakes that can be made all the time and you're going to keep making them, but some of them are out of your control. And I feel like that's something we talk a lot about at Atlanta Track Club, is like, you really do just have to control the things that you can control and let go of anything else. Like if you get sick or something, I mean, I guess that can sometimes be in your control, but that's a bad example. But things that are not in your control, it's like, there's no reason to stress or get so worked up about those, because, you didn't do anything to put yourself in that position in the first place. It just kind of happened. So as long as I did everything I could in my control to have my best day and set myself up for success, then I feel like that's all I can ask for. So,
yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Allie, I have to say, it's been so fun to watch you improve over the past few years. I mean, I think you've improved every year as a professional, but it's been extra fun, especially now I feel a little bit closer to you guys as a club and to you as an athlete. What do you think has made a difference over time as being, longer that you're in the sport, in the profession? What do you think has made a difference year to year?
Ooh, so many things, literally so many things. I feel like I've just been so lucky to have had like the best coaches ever throughout my entire life. Like, and I don't know how it happened. I'm like, I am so grateful for all the coaches I've ever had, because from like one phase of my life to the next, I was just passed on to like, the best hands I possibly could have been. And I've always been lucky to have really good relationships with my coaches and, trust them. And so, yeah, I feel like, going from even just when I was little, going from my CYO coach to my high school coach and then to my college coach was really the one who took me to that next level. Over my college career, I improved by a lot. Going into college, my goal was to break 210. And very, very long story short, I didn't break 210 until my senior year of college. And then that year I ended up running 204. So we just made this like drastic jump. And I was like, I was just trying to break 210. I don't know how this happened. But I really, he like, and it wasn't always like, we had some pretty hard talks, me and my college coach. But he like really was a great influence on me to get me to take that next step and to make the choices I needed to make to enable like myself to do that. And then I had a fifth year. So I was with him in another year. I was able to improve again and run, a couple seconds faster. And then that's kind of when I realized, I can probably do this professionally. Came down to Atlanta. And I feel like the coaches here, like I couldn't trust anybody more in the world than them to get me to that next level that I'm trying to get to. And so I feel like the obvious answer is like the coaching that I've had has just been like, especially since being in Atlanta, I feel like as long as I do everything my coaches ask me and I work as hard as I can on any given day, even if I'm not hitting the splits, even if I'm unable to finish the workout or whatever it is, then I know I'm just like on an upward trajectory because they just know what they're doing. And that's just the coaches, like aside from all the other people that I have in my corner, our PTs, obviously, everybody who does, our massage therapists, chiropractors, like I feel like I have so many people down here who are like go so far above and beyond to help me reach my next goal that it's like, yeah, I feel like as long as I continue to do the right things, like there's, really no reason that I won't continue to trend upwards in terms of performance. So yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is just the people that I've had around me, how I've been able to maintain that, I don't know, train I've been on. But did I even answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like talking, and I'm like, what was that question again?
No, you definitely answered it. And it's interesting. So one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about, a lot of people, so we have all different kinds of people listening to this podcast, from everyday athletes to elite athletes to healthcare providers. And I think one of the common themes is I'm not sure that people realize what kind of team an elite athlete has behind them. I know, especially from some of the, regular people that I treat, they beat themselves up a lot about what they can and they can't do and why they can't run like the elites. And so it might be nice to kind of talk about a little bit like what that team looks like, and what is a day in the life of Allie look like? What kind of things are you doing to help your physical health, help your mental health, and kind of all those pieces that come together?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much, like, it's actually crazy. Like, kind of how we were talking about how, like, there's really like no limit to what you can do in terms of running. Like, there's really no limit in terms of what you can do to improve your running either. Like, I'm just constantly learning all the new ways that I can improve and whatever. And I just know so much more now than I knew when I was in college, obviously more than I knew in high school and all that. But it's like, there's just like so much learning that needed to be done for me, at least. And I assume for a lot of other people too. I just, like, there was so much I just didn't know that really can make a big difference. The biggest things for me that I feel like I have changed since becoming an elite athlete is how much I take care of my body and how much I take care of myself. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, my body is like what has to do the things. There's so many people who I know like work full time and train for marathons and stuff like that. And I like am in awe of them because I'm like, I don't know how they do it. I don't have enough time in the day to do what I do. And like, I don't work, and these people are working full time. So it's like, yeah. So when I break down my days, it's like, it would be probably like kind of unfeasible for maybe like the average runner, because it's like, yeah, they have to work 8 hours of the day. And I have those 8 hours to take care of my body and take naps and sleep in and run when's best for my body, not just at 5 a.m. because that's when I have the opportunity to run and stuff like that. And so, yeah, but I just feel like I feel so lucky that I have that, but I feel bad that like other people can't devote their entire lives to running like I have been lucky enough to be able to do. But pretty much a day in the life of me is, it depends on the day because of workouts and whatever, but typically always running in the morning, whether that's a long run, workout, regular run. I try to, it does also depend on the time of year. Like if it's in the summer, we're in Atlanta, I have to get up early and get it out of the way
Yes.
before it gets too hot. But in the winter, I kind of like to go like, any time in the day, in the middle of the day when it's warmest. So we do pretty much usually base our run around that a lot of the time. And then other than that, it's like getting in nutritious meals as best I can and relaxing and getting treatment, massages, chiropractors, PT, doing our exercises, obviously lifting and stuff like that. Sometimes we have cross training or doubles. So it really is like running is a full-time job at this level. So I would be frustrated too if I was, a normal person who wants to take that next step in running. And it's like, yeah, we have a very big advantage. We get to devote our entire day to making sure that we're going to run that 1 second faster or whatever it is. So I feel very lucky to be able to do what I do. But yeah, pretty much everything we do revolves around one way or another, like, recovering, normateching, stuff like that, rolling out. Like, it's just a never ending cycle of just doing stuff to make our bodies feel good. So
that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I was going to say this question to the end, but I think it's appropriate to throw it in now. But what advice would you give your younger self in your first year of your professional career? So like fresh Allie, out of college, what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
Ooh, in terms of like
anything.
Okay. Guys, Kacy, this is so hard. I feel like there is an answer that is at like the top of my brain, but okay, let me think. I think I would tell myself just to be patient because I feel like in this sport, it's so easy to like, just go for your run or do a really good workout or do whatever. And then you just want the results now. It's like, it's just human nature to be like, okay, I did that and now I want to run really fast. But it's like, even just, I think one thing I've seen just from like observing other people at this level, and not at this level, but is that like, just like consistency over like a long period of time is just like going to take you to the next level. You don't even really necessarily have to do things differently. You just have to like work hard every day and keep yourself healthy, and like good things will happen. And I feel like, I don't know, I actually was talking to my coach about this the other day because I was like, I know how hard I'm working, but I'm not working any harder than I was last year, and I'm running a lot faster. And I'm not working any harder than I was the year before that, and I'm running way faster than that. So it's like, it is crazy. Like, but I feel like I have always worked really hard. I like to pride myself in that. I think I'm a pretty hard worker. But I do just feel like, yeah, if you work as hard as you can and just like can do, sometimes we walk that fine line of like, you have to work really hard, but you can't work too hard. So you just have to like be careful and be kind to yourself along the way, because things will happen. And kind of like we talked about earlier, they're out of your control. And, you just have to like be kind to yourself, be patient, and like everything will come together eventually. And as long as you, yeah.
That's good advice.
My answer.
That's good advice, really.
That was like 10 different things at once for my advice.
Okay.
But I guess another thing would just be like how much the small things add up. I feel like that's kind of what I learned at the very end of college. And then just like, I thought I knew it all at the end of college. And now I'm like, whoo, like I was only just dipping my toes into learning how to take care of myself. Like, and so just like sleeping well, I never put emphasis on sleep my entire life until like a couple years ago. And I'm like, wow, that really made a big difference in my running. Funny how that works out. Like, and I'd always be like, I don't need sleep, whatever. Like, I just didn't think I did, because I still would show up to practice. I'd have good workouts. But I would just be exhausted all the time. I thought that was normal. And it's like, no, like sleeping, hydrating, eating well, all those things like are just such small things that you can do that make such a big difference in the long run, that it's like, you're never going to be like outworking your competition. So like, you might as well like try to like do those little tiny things a little better. And that's really where the gains will be made. A lot of the time, at least. So that's probably all my advice I would give to my younger self.
That's good. I mean, and, we've talked about it before, but I completely agree with you. I think that when we address our basic needs, and our basic needs are sleep and hydration and nutrition, then that really puts us at a completely different level. And it gives us a stronger ground to stand on so that we can make those improvements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That's definitely close to the advice I would give my younger self. Obviously not nearly as high level of an athlete, but I feel like every time I tried to reach a goal, it was like this explosion when it should have been like a slow burn. I'm finally getting it, I think, because I finally had some success and with consistency, and you see the magic of consistency. And I think that's really good for people to hear, no matter what level they're at, that you don't have to work any harder to get where you want to be. You just have to be consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Well, I'm going to pivot here just a little bit. Okay. One of the things, Allie, I love watching you do, and something I just love about you is I really think you're a natural leader. And I think you're a very kind leader. And one thing I notice all the time is how you take all the women around you. And this is such a wonderful thing about the track club is you have this strong relationship with the women. And the women on your team, you all seem to really support each other and really have each other's back. And that is not what running culture looked like a long time ago. And that is not what running culture has looked like for a very long time. And I think that it's finally starting to look like that. And you and your team is a great example of that. So I would love for you to talk about, like, what is it like to be part of a team like that? And how do you keep that going?
Yeah. So I feel like our team did get some attention for that this year, just like little things that happened, but I feel like, yeah, we have a really, really great group of women here. And I'm like so inspired by all of them, literally all the time. And I like, even since I've been here, the team has changed a lot. And I've adored everyone who's been on this team since I've been here for so many different reasons, all different, event groups and whatever. But I've just like learned so much, I feel like, from each person who has been on this team since I've been on this team. And yeah, I just feel like there's always been, I don't even know what I want to say, but basically, since I've been here, I've looked up to Yolanda a lot. She's our Swedish 1500 meter runner. She's my roommate. We're really great friends. And I feel like she has just, since I've been here, because doing what we do is so hard. And it's, it really, you can have the highest highs and lowest lows being a professional runner, or, I mean, any runner, but, we really, it's tough what we're doing. And I feel like Yolanda, since I've been here, has been such a great leader to me. And I've gone to seeing what she has been able to do since she's been with the Bagleys. And like, there hasn't been a day that's gone by where I've been upset about a workout or unsure of myself or unsure of, if I'm going in the right direction, or where she hasn't been there to pick me up and tell me like, you are doing great. Like, I promise you, like, it may not feel like it, but she'd tell me, because she knew what it was like. And like, the training that we do is really hard. And I don't know. I just feel like it does take like time to get in your groove, because it's just so hard that it's like, I always thought that like, I worked out really hard my whole life. And then I got here and I felt like the workouts were the same, but somehow I couldn't do them. And I was like, I've never not been able to do my workouts. What's going on? And she just set such a great example. And I'd watch her like nail her workouts, and I just like looked up to her so much. And so, and she's just one of the examples, but she's definitely has been like made such a big impact on me. So I feel like she really kind of like laid out that, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say platform. I don't even think that makes sense, but that foundation.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, example, foundation. I was going to just start.
I was looking for
example.
Yeah. I feel like since I've been here, she has been the person who I have experienced most of her just like showing me the ropes and, picking me up when I'm down. And so I'd like to think I've always been a good teammate, but I feel like she has taught me so much since I've been here, especially about this very particular training and how like to handle it. And so I feel like as new people have come after me, I've tried to lead by example in the same way she has for me. And I feel like everyone kind of has done that since they've been here. And so it just created this whole culture of like, now like we all have our better days than others, and we pick each other up when each other are down. And so like, even now, like Yolanda will be like, well, you used to say how I would pick you up. And she'll be like, and now you're the one picking me up. And I'm like, well, you taught me everything. And you're the one who taught me that just because you didn't hit that mile rep doesn't mean anything. Like, and so we'll joke about it and stuff. But yeah, I feel like we brought in really, really talented girls last year. And this year now, they haven't been announced yet. But I just feel like this team is definitely like building a lot of momentum, and it's really cool to like be able to do it with each other and show up to practice and our runs and our long runs. And we have so much fun together, but everyone is like such fierce competitors, and we just like are able to do something really cool together. And yeah, I feel really lucky to be on a team where we get along really well and support each other no matter what. This sport can be pretty cutthroat in terms of like, you know, everyone in this team has a similar goal, and it's like we're all trying to attain it, and there's all different ways we have to go about it for ourselves to get there. And I think there's a common understanding of like that we all, you know, are going to do whatever we can to put ourselves in the best position to make those teams or get top 3 at whatever meets or whatever it is. And we're just here to support each other in our individual journeys to get where we're trying to go. And I think that's really what has made us be able to thrive, like while we're like competing against each other sometimes, but together at the same time. That's pretty cool. Yeah, a unique thing we get to do together. For sure.
Yeah, I think it's great. And it's such a good example for the running world and for the culture of running when we're really trying to change those negative things that used to happen, especially with women in sports. And so, yeah, I do think Yolanda deserves a big shout out here because she's always been she's been a great example for the team. And I'm glad that you are now as well. So that's great.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, wait, one more thing. When you were asking me the question initially, you said how like it just has changed a lot from like many years ago. And I do feel like I've heard like so many stories, and I almost feel like I know what everyone's talking about, but only because when I was in high school or college, whatever, it's like when you race against people, it's like you are like kind of enemies. And I don't know what that is, because it's like, I get it, everyone's competitive, but it's like, you know, it is just a sport. Like we can take it down a notch. Why do we have to hate each other? We could be friends and then race. It's okay. And so I feel like maybe social media has had like a pretty positive impact because social media isn't great for everything, but I do feel like being able to connect with our competitors and follow each other and, you know, comment or message each other about a race or, you know, just a random picture they posted, it like creates this sense of like community. And I feel like especially at the elite level, I have found that it's like everyone is so good and what we're doing is so hard. It's like, what's the point of like feeling so much like hostility towards each other like you did when you were younger? Like everyone just is kind of like so much more friendly, and like, yeah, when you're on the track, you're not exactly friends, like, but because you want to beat each other. But like the second that race is over, I'm always going to give you a pat on the back or give you a hug and congratulate you. If somebody does something like really incredible or it like reaches a big goal of theirs, and like, you know, it's just amazing to see. So it's like, even if maybe you didn't hit your goal for that day, it's like, you know how much that means to that person to have had the kind of day that they did. And so like, I feel like that's something I'll always appreciate for them, even if I like had a tough day or something. So yeah, I feel like maybe social media has played a part in that, or maybe not. I don't know.
That's like the first great thing about social media I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel like that makes a big difference for me, because I feel like I know everyone, and it's like I've only seen them ever at meets, but then you get to see like what they're like when they're with their family and their dog, or like what they eat for dessert. Like, I don't know, just random little things that I'm just like, like we're all just human.
just really, really fast humans. That's right. I saw Allie being a really good teammate on Saturday.
Yeah.
I was out at the river where the team works out a lot and where I work out a lot. And I was finishing up my long run, and Allie comes cruising by on one of the like city bikes that you can rent at the river. You know, as we know, Allie, you're not quite working out with the team yet, coming up pretty soon, but you're still out there cheering on the team, helping the coaches out. And I just really love seeing that.
Yeah. So that actually was the first time I was able to do that, but could have before that, like this Saturday, because I always want to be at practice, like even when I'm not working out. But then like the night before, I'll be like, well, wake up at 7 when I could sleep in until 10. So I don't want to make it seem like I've been like the greatest teammate ever, because I have chosen to sleep in more often than not.
Oh, Allie, you're just like killing this story for me. Oh, girl. Mm.
But my intention is always there to go be a good teammate. And like, I do love, like, it stings when you're not working out, but I'm not working out right now because of injury. I just haven't started working out yet. So, but I just like love this sport so much, and I love my teammates so much, and I just love everything about it that I like want to be there all the time. I want to cheer for them. I want to know what their workouts are. I'm like constantly harassing my roommates and the girls like all the time, asking like how their workouts went. And yeah, I just have a lot of fun watching everyone do what I can't be doing right now. And so I was like, I was planning on just like doing my run that day. And then I was like, you know what? They have those bikes there. I'm going to just try to bike with them during their workout. I was like trying to take videos and cheer and bike at the same time. I can't believe I didn't crash. But
that sounds dangerous.
I was just thinking about how I'm so glad you didn't crash, because we would have seen you in the office and just been like, oh no.
But they did say it helped. I don't know if they're just telling me that. So yeah, but I'm sorry to crush your dreams, Kacy. I promise I try to be a good teammate, but I do love sleep. And Kate really preaches to me that sleep is more important.
It is more important sometimes. So, you know, it's okay. We're not judging you, and we still think you're a good teammate.
Yes, I was just healing up from my tonsillectomy. I really needed the extra sleep for a while, but I'm back on track.
That's good. So we have a couple more questions here for you, but one of the things that kind of brings sleep and teammates all together is traveling. And you did a bunch of traveling in Europe. What we were wondering was, and really what Kacy, this is one of Kacy's questions. I'll give her the credit for this. What does the role your teammates play when you're traveling? And can you talk a little bit about the logistics and the schedule and how that's different than your everyday life and how that impacts both you and your running?
Yeah, for sure. So this past season was definitely by far the most traveling I had ever done for running or any other reason. I had never been to Europe before this summer, and I got to see a lot of it. So that was so fun. Such a great experience. I had never been there before, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm such a veteran. Like I think I'm like European now because I went a couple of times. But I definitely, I got to see so many beautiful places. So that was really cool. That's been like a bucket list item of mine for a long time, was to get invited to some of those meets out there and be able to compete on international soil. So it was super fun. But definitely it does pay a toll on your body for sure. All the flights and bus rides, train rides, whatever it is, it's tough. Like the time changes. So usually before a race over there, we'll fly out 3 days before. So we'll get one night of sleep where it's really crazy. And then we'll kind of have 2 days to ground ourselves before the race. And yeah, a lot of my traveling that I did in Europe was with Olivia this summer. We were both running the 800. It kind of worked out where she did a couple races I didn't do. I did a couple races she didn't do. And then we both paced a couple, but overall we were kind of ending up in the same spot. So it was really great to have someone over there, especially Olivia, because she's been, in this circuit for a while. She's been over there, done all that stuff. So she was, a great leader in terms of helping me to navigate all of that. And so, yeah, she was pretty much my buddy once we started racing over there. But just traveling in general with the whole team can be pretty hectic, as you can imagine. Always super fun. I love like my favorite meets of the year when like all of us are together, usually in like the West Coast. I love those meets because the weather's like always beautiful and it's just nice to escape the humidity for a little. But, you know, those trips are like where the most bonding occurs. So it's like for better or worse, like there's always a lot going on, but we like can get so close on those trips. And it's sort of like a vacation, but we have to kind of everything has to be focused around our races, obviously, but usually we'll have a team dinner or do something fun after the races. Yeah, we usually try to like at least do one thing that's like fun or like sightseeing. We do get to see a lot of really great places doing what we do. So yeah, it's really fun getting to travel with everyone.
Any good stories you want to share?
Ooh, let me think. So many. This is just off the top of my head. I wouldn't even say it's a good story. Also, it was from when I was hurt. So I got to go with the girls to a meet in Boston this past indoors. I was out with like a really random, I don't even know what injury, but I didn't run indoors because of it. But we were flying from camp. We go to camp in Florida in January every year. So it was the first year actually we competed while we were still at camp. So we were flying from Florida. So we flew from Florida to Boston, and it was like, wait, I think I might be remembering that wrong. We might have been in Atlanta. I don't remember. But long story short, the girls all raced, did super well. They ran like a DMR. I love going to meets, and I'd prefer to race, but even when I can't race, like it was nice that the coaches still let me go to the meet, and I kind of got to be the assistant coach for the weekend and feel like a part of everything, even though I was like, going through a tough time. But so they all raced, they ran a DMR, and then there was like this huge snowstorm coming in. So we all got Thai food and wine, and we just sat in the lobby and just like talked all night while like the snowstorm came in. And like we pretty much knew we were like going to get stuck there the next day, but we were like, whatever. And it just it was so fun because it just felt like it was like a snow day when you're like in like elementary school, like with your friends, like so excited for school to get canceled. And we woke up and it was like so white. And it's like, obviously I'm from Pennsylvania, so I've seen lots of snow in my lifetime, but like we never see it down here. So like it was just so fun to experience that with everyone. We were like trekking through the snow to go get boba tea, like so I feel like that was one of my highlights from this year, which is actually crazy because it's when I wasn't even competing, and I feel like I had so much fun once I was competing. And so the fact that that's my highlight, I don't know, it was just like warm and fuzzy.
I love that. I used to live in Boston. I lived there for 10 years. And so I know the snow. We used to take snowshoes and walk through the city when it would close down and hop on the T and go from like place to place and then snowshoe through the city. So fun. It was really fun. Yeah, that's a good city to be stuck in with the snow.
Yeah. Well, we actually ended up not getting stuck somehow. Our flight was later in the day the next day. So we were able to like trek to go get our coffee in the morning. And then I guess just because it's Boston, like they kind of have their snow figured out. And I guess, I don't know if this was a rumor or not, but someone said that they have like I guess the roads can like heat up at the airport so that the snow melts.
I actually have no idea. It didn't used to be that way, but I lived there for a long time ago. But I do know that the bridge by Harvard has heated. So the bridges were heated right near Harvard, not the whole place.
Okay.
All of Harvard is heated.
So, yeah, that was the rumor when I was running in Boston, is that the bridges, you would cross at Harvard so you didn't slip while you were running around the river because those bridges were heated. But I don't even know if that's true. Maybe that's just a rumor.
We're just spreading rumors about
anything we say.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me, but it also just makes no sense that we were able to fly out that night. So I'm like, these floors have to be heated. Like, there's no convincing me otherwise.
Well, they're really good at snow removal there. Like, it's not like Atlanta that has like 4 snow plows for all of the entire city. And then the snow plows sometimes go home when it snows because they don't want to get stuck.
They're not even snow plows. They're garbage trucks with plows on the front.
Is that right?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
They're garbage trucks.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I haven't experienced a snow day in Atlanta yet, but I guess I'm pretty terrified to find out what it's like.
Don't worry. If it snows an inch, you'll get to stay home. It's pretty funny.
Well, I really can't let this podcast end without us talking about, Kate's agreeing with me. I thought she was like, Kacy, don't ask.
No, we have to talk about it.
I already know what it is.
Well, give us the play-by-play. I want to hear about it because I know there's some misconceptions out there about what this finish actually was. So let's clear the air here.
Okay. So for all of the listeners who do not know, I face planted at the end of my race in May. People think that I tripped. I didn't trip. Well, I guess technically I did trip, but I tripped because my legs gave out. I'm running super hard, very tired. My legs give out. I'm like, what's going on? And then my spike did get caught, and I didn't know that till I saw the video. But I was going down either way. It wasn't because my spike got caught. I hit that ground very hard. Luckily, I made it over that finish line, so it did count. But basically what happened was my coach has told me this since, so I didn't know at the time. But basically, I alluded to the fact earlier that I was injured during indoors. So I was kind of just coming back. And I don't even know how long I had been running up till that point, but it just hadn't been that long. It was definitely enough to be racing, obviously. I had gotten cleared and all that. But especially, I'm the type of person who's I would rather be over prepared. So when I don't feel like I'm super ready to race, but I had one race the week before. I raced in Des Moines, and it was a literal tornado. I felt a lot better in that race than I thought, but I ran 2:03. And I was kind of I don't know if I ran 2:03 because of that tornado or if I'm actually in 2:03 shape. So I just had no idea where I was at. But because it was so windy in Des Moines and I was able to run 2:03, I was I don't know. I feel like I could have ran a lot faster if it wasn't that windy, but I didn't know why. I was this really doesn't make any sense. I shouldn't be super in shape yet. So we had a race out in California. It was perfect conditions, and I was super, super nervous, but I was really confident for no reason. And I'm never super confident. I have a confidence, but I was so confident I was going to run 1:57. And I told coach that I was we're having my pre-race talk the day before, and I was getting massage while we're talking. And I was coach, he was well, what's your plan for tomorrow? And I was well, I think I'm going to run 1:57. And he was being super nice about it, but kind of being well, if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it's not a big deal. And I'd be no, coach, I'm really going to run 1:57. Stop telling me I'm not gonna. And he's I'm not telling you you're not gonna, but it might not happen yet, but whatever. And so we're going back and forth. And I think he just thought I was a lunatic, basically. But I don't know why I just knew I could run that. So I get out on the track, and then I'm running, and it feels really hard. Actually, the first 400 felt really hard. And then I don't even know, I think we came through in 58, which is pretty normal for me, but a lot faster than we had gone out in Des Moines. So I was okay, and I'm in the lead. The rabbit steps off. I keep the lead the rest of the race, but I'm coming down the straightaway, and I see a shadow, and I knew whose shadow it was. But I was okay, she's right on me, finish hard. Just trying to hold her off, basically. I don't know if other people are coming. I don't know. But I'm almost to the finish line, and my legs just completely give out. And yeah, kind of what I explained earlier, I face plant, I get across the line, and I ended up running 1:58.16, I think. And so that was a big PR for me. That was about a second PR. And so my coach basically explained to me later, that I wasn't really in shape to do that yet. And so I like pushed my body like too hard. So it just gave out. Like I literally was to run that fast at that given time, like maybe give it another week or two, I would have been fine. But so that's really what happened. It basically went viral and everyone, there's some pretty funny comments on those videos. I don't know if you guys have looked, but there's also some kind of rude ones. So rude of her for getting in the way of everyone else. And I'm like, do you think I did that on purpose?
Yeah.
Like I was so beat up from that. I was in so much pain. Obviously it was worth it. I was so happy because, I'd never broken 159 before. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened. It was pretty embarrassing, but I'd do it all over again if it meant another PR.
Well, that was just another moment where I was like, wow, she's handling this so well. Because everyone was playing that clip over and over, and there were so many pictures, and you just, you waited, but then you like put something out there that I thought was really wonderful. And you just kind of laughed about it. And you said, look, this is what happened. And here it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you make fun of yourself first, then like no one else really can. I'm not fazed by these people who are making fun of me. And honestly, most of their comments were hilarious. So I even went through and would like some or comment, and I don't know, it's just funny. I'm like, I see this, that you said that.
And I know who said it.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's the infamous story of the day I fell on my face.
Well, you handled it well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I watched that race live actually, and I immediately texted Amy. I was like, "Is Allie okay?" And it obviously took a while for her to get back to me because you guys were racing and everything. She was like, "We won't know till the morning. My adrenaline's got to run off."
She was funny about it. I texted her too.
I did have a workout the next day, and somehow, I was in a lot of pain, but I was able to do it. But it's funny you mentioned that you guys texted her, because I kept making this joke, because pretty much like everyone would text me like, ha, ha, ha. Like all my friends would be laughing or making fun of me or sending me funny pictures or videos of it. And the only people who were seeing if I was okay was my mom, my aunt, my friend's moms, all the mother figures in my life. Are you okay? And everyone else was just ha, ha, ha. I'm like, that's when my PTs and my mother figures are the only ones who care if I'm okay.
I know. I remember we were like, oh my God.
Because you had just gotten back from injury. I was like, please tell me she didn't hurt herself. Because you couldn't tell, it happened so fast. I couldn't tell if you pulled something or tripped and actually hurt yourself. It was so hard to tell because it was so fast. And I was just really hoping that, for one, you'd ran a massive PR, and two, I just you just gotten back, things were clicking. So I was concerned.
Yeah, no, I was fine. I just, got scraped off the track, got my in and out after. I was living my life.
That's awesome. All right, Allie. Well, the last question, and then we'll let you go to bed, because I don't want to disrupt your sleep since it's so important.
or ours.
Okay.
Or ours, because we really need to go to bed soon. But I was trying not to be selfish, Kacy.
We know. Our listeners know.
Yeah, it's true. They know we're like grandmas, but it's cool. So what are you most looking forward to this year?
Ooh, that's hard, because I feel like last year I knew my answer, but now I did so many of the things I wanted to do last year. And it's I really need to reevaluate what my, goals and hopes for this year and season are. But I'm just looking forward to, hopefully having an indoor season. I've been injured for the past 2 years during indoors. So I haven't ran indoors in so long. And I've always loved indoors for some reason. I don't know why I even like it better than outdoors. So I'm hoping that we can kind of figure out whatever's going on, why I keep getting hurt that time of year. I think we have a pretty good idea. So my coach is going to change some things around with what I'm doing, but I'm just hoping to be healthy and be able to compete, have a very long season and hopefully, improve some of my best times. And like I said earlier, we just got a couple of new really great girls. So I'm just looking forward to making new memories with all my teammates and seeing what we can do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Allie. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Yeah, this has been so fun. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that it resonated with you and that you learned something. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps increase our visibility within the platform so that more awesome people like you can find us.
If you'd like to support us further, pretty please, you can visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/morethanmiles. That's www.patreon.com/morethanmiles. Or for a few dollars, you can help the show grow and keep going, as well as receive exclusive perks like monthly Q&As with us. Until next time, remember to run the mile you're in, and that training is so much more than miles.